Cool. And we're live, theoretically. Hello and welcome to the Legends of Tabletop podcast. We're getting ready to jump into another Cthulhu Invictus game. Tonight we're playing the
Harvest Moon Hunt.
Harvest Moon Hunt. Last session, our investigators were brought together. We started in the town of Camelodian. We have a finder, a hunter, a bodyguard, and a scholar as our investigators. We were tasked with bringing wagons and supplies to a town that was under siege from a plague. As we got in, the town was being sealed off by the legions there. There were some rogue legionaries on the inside of the town who wanted to go home. We were able to negotiate with the legionaries in the town. We were able to facilitate.
Negotiate, maybe maybe generous. You were able to attempt negotiations and distract them long enough for the legionaries to rush their position.
Right.
I mean, it's all a matter of perspective.
The winners write history. Okay?
Yeah.
We attempted to negotiate.
So we were able to get in. We took for granted that we would
you
be
reestablished
able to leave.
control of the gate.
Right. And that was all. We did a little bit of investigating around the town, found out that the doctor who we were coming to see had been in the makeshift hospital that was in the warehouse. We went down to investigate, found out that there were moans and sounds, from coming from outside. There was a rush of people who had fled.
Novius Geta. The doctor's Immunis or Novius Geta.
Right. And the people fled, and no one had been in since. So as we went in to investigate, we found a man who was essentially in his death throes. He was covered in excrement, and he was in a really bad way. We found a tablet from
the plague was cholera for 500.
Yep. And as we talked to him, he started to freak out. We turned around, and there was a zombie plague doctor who was trying to fill his mission as a healer. We wound up beating him to death as he was a zombie. And when we tried to leave afterwards, found out that we were stuck in town for the month because why the hell would they let us out? Everybody in town's got cholera.
Right. An unexpected turn for the end of your mission.
In our defense, we didn't touch anything. Or we tried our best not to.
You were in melee combat with a plague-infested zombie.
We had poking sticks, okay? We kept everything out of distance.
You were walking through a layer of plague, of cholera-infected human waste in this ruined hospital.
I'm just going to say what I have to say because I want to go home. I didn't want to be there.
Yeah, the soldiers wanted to go home too, and the army didn't let them out. You see what happened to them.
Yeah, at one point, Herminius and Marcion were grappled with one of the soldiers, so you can't blame them.
You don't think I wanted to go to Connecticut when we were in the middle of lockdown? Sure, fuck, I wanted to go to Connecticut. I wasn't able to leave New York. Yeah. There's a lot of personal crap going on in that game. I apologize for that, but
me comparing them essential workers with the outside gate. They were the essential workers that.
Yeah, we should have probably started that game with a trigger warning for, but.
Well, I can always go back and record something too, because. I mean, not for the live play, apparently, obviously, but I can always throw something on the podcast.
Yeah, we should probably do that.
That's fair. Cool.
Okay, so you've spent a month in a very nice villa. Supplies of food have been scarce, but you guys have gotten, 2 meals a day. one of which hot. You were honored guests of the city council and the head man there, and you didn't have to leave the house, and you didn't have to go leave your set of 2 rooms. So as quarantines go, it wasn't bad. I mean, the guy even had a modest library.
I was there.
Right. And you were able to they were able to heat water. Actually, they weren't allowed. Nobody was bathing. I mean, water was just too precious. I'm going to say all of you roll a luck roll and tell me if anyone gets a hard or an extreme.
No.
I got 17 out of 70, so I'm assuming that's at least hard, if not extreme.
I got a hard. Yep.
Okay, 2 hards.
Yep.
I think that's extreme, right? 75. So 75 would be a 15. So 70. Oh no, it's just gonna be hard. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a 22 out of 70. So.
Okay, 22 out of 70.
Same.
So 3 of you made hard rolls.
Correct.
All right. During that 1 month when you were on lockdown, it actually rained 3 times.
Nice.
Nice.
So the town was able to frantically set up water catches, and nobody went. Basically the doctors were saying any water that exists in the town that's coming out of the well, consider it contaminated. It was one of the last things the doctor ordered before he died and rose back from the dead. So it wasn't enough for you to have enough water to bathe, but nobody in the town was dying of thirst during the quarantine period. So yeah, that was rather fortunate. Before we start, has everyone rolled to improve any skills they may have used successfly?
I did.
No.
I did. The only one I had a question with was how luck would come into play, because I used 13 points in last game.
Okay, so we're gonna. The way we're doing it here is just roll your luck at the end of the game. If you fail it, consider it like a skill that has failed, and you can get 1d10 points back.
Oh, cool. All right. Thanks.
And as you can see, the luck points are always going to be coming back slower than they get spent.
Mm-hmm. Well, 1 point is better than nothing, so I'll take it. That one might be going in jail. Not sure yet.
Okay, so what did you, as a group or individually, pass your time doing for the last month in basically, quarantine?
So one of my concerns, we made 1,000 sesteri, right? For the last. Was there a way? Was this village big enough that we could send money home from it?
No, they weren't letting anyone out.
All right.
Well, we didn't necessarily collect the money yet, because we haven't left the town.
No, you have to go back to Camdelonian to get paid.
Okay.
I thought we got half up front, didn't we? Or a portion.
You did get half up front.
We did get 500 up front.
Yep.
Okay. Excellent.
All right. So if anyone has anything they want to tell me that they specifically did.
So the one thing, I mean, kind of one of my interests, because especially I have sort of a refugee background, people living in hardships, and I had that sort of hoard of rations that I took with me. I've been interested to know if there's soldiers that have been short on food that I could give any of the extra food I had to safely without getting myself sick.
If you wanted to donate some of that, you could easily give it to the staff of your host.
Okay.
And they would add it to the town supplies. They actually had a few troops left in town who volunteered to run food distribution and guard a warehouse of where all of the supplies you brought were going to be under guard. Because, as you know, again, you have a refugee background. You know, people get hungry, they get desperate, and sometimes desperate people can do stupid things. You know, a food riot during a shortage is not something uncommon.
Mm-hmm.
But luckily, it never came to that. The supplies you brought in were well done, and there was actually a second supply run. And this time, what happened is, since they had control of the gate, they just left the wagons in outside of the gate and then backed away. Like, those people, I guess they learned from your mistake of coming in. So then they just left the supplies outside of the gate, and they were able to come in and get it.
They slaughtered all the oxen too.
They slaughtered all of the oxen.
Yep.
Not all at once, but they slaughtered about half of them immediately because there was such a need.
Right.
And luckily, it's a port town, so there's good supplies of salt. So it as quarantines go in Cthulhu Invictus, this one could have been much worse.
Right. Regina, do you have anything in mind? Anything that you were doing?
So other than just making sure that any of the spikes or any other tools that were used were replenished, I imagine there wasn't any livestock that I could have helped with because they were most likely slaughtered on site.
Your host didn't want you guys leaving the villa. He actually strongly urged you not to. He felt responsible for you, and he felt guilty enough that you were stuck here. So he didn't want any one of you leaving the villa and getting sick.
Yeah. So then I was most likely just passing the time as best as possible, keeping to myself, and just continually sharpening things.
You may need a new whetstone, but luckily they're real cheap. You know, that's a very low cost item.
Yes.
All right, so if there's nothing specific, and we've already taken care of our skills and any luck points we were going to get back or not get back.
I was just going to say that Marcion would have spent some time in the library. He also has writing tablets and stuff, so he would have made some notes as far as what they encountered, what they saw, maybe what they did, what they maybe did wrong. And it also shook him up quite a bit because he fears that degenerative form of not so much death, but like being ill, being sick, being incapacitated. So like it really shook him and kind of knocked him for a loop. So he was a little bit more, maybe sullen. I don't think we all know each other all that well. I think I know Doreena a little bit more than the other guys.
All right. Well, I want you to roll a luck and tell me if you get an extreme success.
All right. I will do so. It is not 60. It's a pass, but it's not extreme.
Okay.
Not extreme.
The luck is that while you went through the guy's entire library, because again, books are very expensive items that only the wealthiest own. There were a few things you haven't read, so it actually, wasn't horrible for you. You had, out of the month, you probably had like a week worth of reading to read everything. And, but there was nothing. If you'd have rolled an extreme, I would have had you stumble upon a Mythos tome as a hook to a future adventure. But maybe it's better you didn't. Is that really a roll you want to make? But okay, after a month, secretly, thanks to several good soakings of rain that flushed out the aquifer under town to remove the contaminants, the cholera outbreak suddenly lifts. The Roman physicians feel that the people had suffered and sacrificed and prayed enough, and that efforts to stop the spread were successful enough. They're still not really sure what caused the plague, because we won't really figure out how cholera works until after the Industrial Revolution, I'm afraid. But this plague has passed. The city is deemed clean. The army comes in and checks everyone out and lifts the blockade, although they're still checking people. Like, if you're obviously sick, they're not letting you leave. And the city council guy pulls some strings, and you guys are like, on day one, you're like fourth in line.
Nice.
As you are, so again, to get your payment, you'll have to travel south to Camdelonium. That will be, hold on. You are here, and you're heading there, that road.
Do they provide horses since they ate the oxen?
Good question.
They have a new oxen, and they are returning the wagons that you guys used.
Oh, nice.
So they basically say, as a courtesy, could you can ride in these. They have teamsters hired, so you can ride in one of the wagons. You actually drop supplies off as they're returning them to your patron.
Nice. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, so as you are doing so, you get about a third of the way south along this road. When a rider is coming up the road and stops the column and speaks to the leader of the column, and you see he kind of points to your wagon. So the rider comes up, and he's an official messenger, and he kind of comes over and says, "I'm looking for the shepherdess Doreena Hermula."
I am Shay.
There's a town on the other side of this forest with grave need of you. You've come recommended, and the patron who hired you to drop off supplies has sent me. Let me find his name so I don't have to.
I think I have it.
Be so amateurish. Fidelis Affer has sent me to intercept you before you would return. There's a town nearby that for the last 2 nights has suffered the attacks of a fearsome beast to its livestock, and he's requested that you and your companions go there immediately. He has some business interests with these farms, and they've made a request for help, and you're it.
Okay.
Well, it sounds like the perfect opportunity for our shepherdess.
Yes, it does. This person probably would. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, did Fidelis offer any more coin in regards to this current assignment?
He did not express a specific number, but he said that he hopes you will trust his generosity, and he will consider it a personal favor and negotiate favorable terms for your services upon your return to Camdelonium.
Oh, of course.
I because I've worked with him before and I've pretty much known him most of my life, I would trust that he would take good care of us.
Right,
as
he's
long
not
as
the kind of guy who would cheat such valuable assets as you guys. You guys are his fixers.
Right.
He
Did
does
he
what
pro-
he needs to keep you guys going on these things for him.
Did he provide any other information aside from the fact that the livestock was assaulted?
Only the name of the village. It is Pentref for Mio, and it should be less than a day east of here through the forest.
And we have to go. There's no direct road.
Make a no. There is no direct road.
14.
Yeah, you can find it easy.
Okay.
You're familiar with where this village is. It's not really a village. It's kind of like a sprawling like about 7 sprawling farms, mostly sheep, on the banks of the river Ouse.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably mispronouncing that. It's a real river. So basically, you are going from here through these woods, looking for a village kind of somewhere along that river.
Okay.
And again, village is a strong word. It's basically a group of farms connected by roads, by bad roads at that. So he says, all right, I've delivered my message. Good luck. I'll report. I'm going to ride back, report that you've taken the assignment. And we'll send a wagon to Pentref. It should be there in a few days. Hopefully by then you'll have everything worked out. And he'll bring you back into Camdelonium to pay you.
Does he have anyone that we need to speak to directly?
No, the town knows that they're sending someone.
Okay.
As soon as strangers arrive, they'll probably guess that it's you. It's not a place that gets many visitors.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, he rides off.
All right. I guess we're leaving the group.
You're leaving. Yeah, you're leaving the caravan.
I suppose the rest of your payment will have to wait until our return back home.
All right, the wagons start away and leaving you on the side of the road.
Doreena, you know where we're going? Are you familiar with this area?
I am familiar. I've gone there a few times. Different ways. This will be one of the first times I'm traveling in this direction, but I do feel comfortable guiding us there.
Anything that we should be on the lookout for in the woods?
Roll your occult.
Oh, great. Let's see.
Good question, Macreon.
Has anyone else, have any of us worked with this man that's hiring us for all this work?
I have.
You have.
Yeah.
Yes, we're going to say that he is a regular patron for your services, but you've never all worked together for him, but he's reputable.
Has he been reputable enough that you feel confident that he will pay us? Because I'm starting to get nervous about getting paid.
I wouldn't be wasting my time if you didn't pay me. I don't have time for people like that. So
good. Neither do I. I would hate for that to be an issue.
No, it should not be. It's never been an issue in the past. He's always kept his word, and I expect he will do so in the future.
Good. All right.
I got an 89 over 55.
That's going to be a no.
I've never heard of any supernatural creatures being out in this direction. We should be fine.
All right,
Dare I
so
roll?
did you roll? You can roll. He specifically said, "Hey, is there anything weird about this forest?"
What's my? Ooh. That's 7 luck points I can't spare. Sorry.
Yeah. All right. You're like, yeah, I get nothing really, I guess. So,
Yeah.
you trailblaze through the forest to cut through the forest to get to the town.
So we're all on foot,
Yeah.
and are we just carrying like our regular packs with some basic rations and such?
Right. Right.
Well,
So,
I never gave any leftovers over.
well, you were there
So-
for a month, and your rations probably wouldn't have lasted. You actually don't have any food.
What?
You had the food that you were eating was organized by the caravan, and you were supposed to be in Candlonium tomorrow. So you're hoping that this town, since they've sent for help, they're willing to feed you.
How far
But
away are we from the town right now?
You should be able to get there by midday.
Okay.
Setting a brisk pace if nothing happens.
I start to walk faster.
Okay. While you're passing through the forest, I need everybody to make a POW check.
Oh, Christ.
Ooh.
I make it.
68 out of 70.
53 out of 80.
Malachi?
All right, I'm good. Yeah, 50.
So everybody made it, but no one really made a hard success. This is all just basic successes.
By the skin of my teeth.
As you're crossing through this wooded area, and again, this takes you like 3 hours of crossing, trailblazing through this forest. You do find some game trails, but it's a heavy woods and it's an old wood. So there are parts of it where the sun hasn't touched the floor in centuries. And as you're going through these forests, more than once, each of you felt like you were not alone there, that you were being watched. Like there was a presence. And sometimes that presence was not friendly. There was almost like spots where you felt a wave of anger or animosity towards you, and then it would pass almost if it was like breeze. But there were definitely odd impressions that had one of you felt it, you might have kind of laughed it off as my mind's playing tricks on me, but all of you sensed it. And after the first or second hour, you start looking at each other and like, am I the only one feeling this? And you confirm that no, there is something old about this woods.
Marcion grabs the amulet that he's wearing around his neck, pulls it out, like puts it over his toga,
Right.
rubs it a little bit.
Slide my cape open a little bit more. And,
All right. Now everyone make a spot hidden check.
Ooh. That is a 22 out of 50. Hard success.
Good.
80 over 40.
No.
I'm trying to see if it's a good percentage. Hold on.
You walk into a tree, Marcion.
Did you guys
Low-hanging
steal it? Oh,
branch.
shit.
Yeah, right there. You hear something out of the corner. What the?
yeah,
I make it hard. Oh,
So three of you made hard successes, and one of you failed by 40 points. Okay, the first hard success.
He was reading a book.
Malachi, you're used to spotting people watching you. That's your job. You're a bodyguard. Whether it's in a crowded street or deserted alley, if someone is kind of maneuvering near you, you'll pick it up. It's almost like you're a sixth sense for you. You kind of feel like not only are you being watched, but people are maneuvering around you. And as you basically almost as an impulse, you grab the hilt of your club and you turn in a direction, and you see a figure out of the corner of your eye, a tall a tall, slender figure in like bright, like bright colored blues and greens, and then they kind of like move behind a tree, and you can just detect the rustle. And when they move behind the tree, you completely lose track of them, and then they're just gone.
How far away was that?
Probably about probably less than 20 feet.
All right, so close.
They were really they were whatever was watching you was really close, and you did catch a glimpse of it, you're sure. But how it vanished out of sight so quickly is a mystery.
That it was just one place or person that I saw, or did I have a sense that there were more people or whatever it is?
No, you got a sense of there was someone or someone's in that direction. I'm going to need you to make a sand check.
Yep. Okay. I'm going to, as I'm doing that, I'm going to say we're being watched and point in that direction. And particularly, I'm going to alert Doreena in that direction. She's kind of A, the local, and B, the person with a ranged weapon.
That's when I walk into the tree.
Oh, right.
I give you a dirty look for walking into the tree.
I probably did not make my, I just barely made my sand. 76 out of 80.
All right, you're fine. You take no loss. You're a little unnerved, especially when you realize it's early autumn. There's a layer of leaves on the ground, and whoever moved away did so very silently. Like, how did someone get that close and then vanish so quickly and quietly? It's just unnerving. But you've seen The Walking Dead, so it's it's not that bad.
Yep.
All right, Herminius. As you are walking through these woods, you think through the trees, you catch a glimpse of just like almost like a hilltop or like a small clearing. Like you kind of see sunlight and a grassy rise, which is odd because the forest is so thick here. Oh, before we get to that, Doreena, when he points out where that was there anything you wanted to do?
Well, I wanted to look to see if there was any tracks or anything.
Roll your tracking.
Oh, I passed.
By how much? Is it a hard success or a regular success?
Oh, definitely a hard.
Oh, definitely a hard.
Yeah.
There are definite tracks here. There was someone here. And not only that, there are, as the tracks lead away, they're joined by a second pair. And at that point, you can see that once they've gotten about 20 feet 20 feet further away, they actively start trying to hide their tracks.
Okay.
So unless you want to just start following these tracks, you're going to have to roll again.
I'm not. I'm staying with everyone else. I do acknowledge that he's correct, that what he saw, there was something there, and just take a note of that.
Well, and to be clear, something, because of your hard success, were booted tracks. This was not a beast.
Ooh.
This was, it could be a sturdy woman or a youth. Definitely not a bulky man. But no, there were a pair of figures very close to you, and how they got so close and how they got away. Now I'm going to need you to make a sand check because you realize how close people got to you.
Yeah,
and again, you're a huntress. You're again
3. I'm good.
Yeah, good. You're like whoever got this close and then snuck away. They're really good at woodcraft. Like it's impressive to you because you don't get surprised that easy, and neither does Herminius or Malachi. You're both very adept at not being surprised.
Mm-hmm.
And
wouldn't have a lot of
Macreon
space.
walked into a tree. So there we go.
Walking. Are we all kind of walking together in one big clump, sort of?
That's
or-
up to you.
I don't know if we've really established that. Right now, at least right now, my interest is I'm going to kind of be with the core of the crew, sort of just keeping, sort of standing between whatever threat there is and the rest of the crew.
I would say that I was most likely in the front,
Yeah.
guiding everyone, but a little bit more observant, a little bit more on edge, and pissed off. Sorry, no one should get that close. So no, I'm good.
What is everyone so
Same.
concerned about?
Hopefully something that we don't need to be concerned about much longer. If we continue the pace and we continue to move forward.
Should we call out? See if this is somebody from the town, from the village that we're going to. Maybe?
Have we reached the village?
Not yet.
I'm going to
Not even halfway through the forest yet.
I know.
in my.
Macreon doesn't know.
I don't even speak the local language, so likely I don't even know what.
Well, the local language, luckily, is Latin.
Yeah,
unfortunately, these
yell
people
out
have been
in
conquered for a couple of hundred years at this point.
Yeah.
You're going to find villages that they don't
with a
speak Latin, but
Yeah,
it shouldn't be too much of a problem.
yeah. I will yell out who goes there.
You do not get an answer.
Poking.
Like, not a good idea. Let's
No.
keep moving. All right, let's say 45 minutes later, Herminius, you see what I've described.
Okay. So kind of slow down a little bit, and I'll kind of wave to everybody and let's say, friends, over there is a what appears to be a little grove or opening. We might be able to find some food, or at the very least berries or some such that have grown in the sunlight. Might be a nice refreshing stop.
I urge that we continue moving forward, and that if we are up to it, let's just keep moving and not stay here.
Does everyone
Also-
agree with that, or do we?
I agree with that.
Would I know that that's not possible?
Roll an occult roll. You know it's not possible, and then he points out where it is, and you see it too.
All right, so I fail.
There is like a grassy hill not far from here.
Can I also make the roll? Because I was going to question it. Like,
Yes,
that
you
seems odd. Like, 19 out of 55, so that is a hard success.
Well, there are reports of odd hills, like perfectly round grassy hills where there shouldn't be grassy hills, like in the middle of forests or even in swamps. The locals call them fairy mounds, and they're supposed to be gateways between the worlds. Between the what they call the world of iron and the realm of the Tirnanog.
We should
Sorry,
probably-
real quick for the uninitiated. What is the realm of Tirnanog?
Yeah, I'm Syrian. I don't know what any of this is. So.
I'm
Macreon
Jesse.
can
I don't know what
explain
this
that
is.
the locals that there's a parallel world to our own, where spirit creatures dwell, and a whole nother race of beings called the She, and that in certain places there are weak points. And at certain times of the year, those weak points become even weaker, as to be almost porous. This is what you get with a hard success on occult, when you're specifically a scholar.
Yeah.
And it just so happens, one of those times where the veils between realities thins is the local New Year's celebration, which is a couple weeks from now.
Oh God.
It's unlike a proper Roman New Year's celebration, the locals celebrate New Year's at the time of harvest.
Is there like a big woven wooden I don't know wicker structure nearby at all?
No, just a just a grassy mound in the middle of a forest.
Yeah, it does not seem as if, according to my research, and prove it. The gods, they are fickle, but if that is a fairy mound, that is potentially a portal, and we approach the time when the veils are thin. It seems it is probably not fortuitous for us to poke around in such matters.
What are the chances that the beast or whatever it might be disturbing the town we are traveling to finds its home from this fairy mound?
Yes, that is a fair point, but perhaps we should investigate further, actually go to the village to see what it is that we're dealing with.
Agreed. I think at the very least we should keep this area in mind. It might be a place that we would like to return to for further investigation.
Yes.
I will ask all of you to make a navigation roll, just so you can kind of put this location in your mental map.
Mm-hmm.
I will know this area for the rest of my life.
All right, you made a very good roll on. So
A one.
Doreena is supremely confident that she can navigate her way back to this spot.
Marcion, I got a 98 over 10. And he's like, I don't like.
He goes, when did we get to Hispania?
Where are we?
Did we come from that way? No, we went. It was.
Yeah, you're lost, Marcion. You better stay with the group at this point. With that roll. If you get separated, they're never going to find you.
At least it was important that Doreena at least got that right.
He sidles up a little closer to her as she's our resident woods person.
Yeah.
All right. Doreena, I'm going to ask you to make a sanity check.
I know exactly where this is. I'm not going to... I will never change these dice again. I've got an 8.
You don't know whether Marcion is just clueless, whether he injured himself when he fell, or if some strange force has ensorcelled him to scramble his sense of direction. That's how confused he is. So it's a little unnerving. And at this point, you've lost some time. You've lost some travel time. So now it could be mid-afternoon before you get to the village.
We really should pursue forward.
Let's move. I'm actually going to start acting like a sheepdog and working behind the party and pushing them in the direction.
I'm like nodding.
Yeah, good idea. Let's pick up the pace, bros.
Yep. Let's just,
okay, so you're traveling. So you're just for the people playing at home. They are currently crossing a forest with no road. Near Halloween in Britannia, where they've crossed near a fairy mound and they're pretty sure they're being watched.
I just love too how Doreena is trying to cut the path and lead us. Malachi is behind us trying to push. Meanwhile, Marcion is like, we should go check that out. That could be interesting. We could find fruit. Let's go eat.
I think obviously, we already had established this. We all kind of figured out that we have seen things over the course.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And being cooped up for a month, I think we probably exchanged some stories. So I'm starting to tell that story about, remember that time, guys, that I was in the woods and I saw this long, tall thing with tentacles coming up and big hooved feet in the woods?
All right, Doreena, after about an hour of pushing them on, you're starting to get nervous about maybe being here once the sun starts to set. And then you notice right ahead of you are 4 or 5 4 or 5 large mushroom growths, and they're kind of in a semicircle.
Okay. Would that
Like clumps of mushrooms maybe the size of your fist, and then like 5 or 6 feet away there's another and another.
so I would assume this is under natural world.
Mhm.
I want to take a closer look without taking too much time away, because that looks a little bit unusual to me.
You can roll natural world.
Do you point it out?
No, I don't say anything yet. I want to. The only thing
Smart.
I'm going to say is, gentlemen, I'm just going to push a little further for a moment.
Okay, she tells you to stay. She
12.
walks up. As you walk up, you see that these clumps of mushrooms form a near perfect circle with about a 15-foot radius.
Oh gosh.
You roll your natural world, but I'm going to tell you right now, you don't need to roll.
That's okay.
This isn't a natural growth of mushrooms. And I
Is
will
it
allow
ahead of
you to roll occult with a bonus dice because you've already kind of got an idea what's going on in these woods.
Okay. So we're going to cults.
With a bonus dice.
Wait. A 14. Yes.
Yeah, this is a fairy mound. They're very similar to fairy. This is a fairy ring. They're even
Mhm.
worse than fairy mounds.
Yes.
Because a fairy mound could be a gate, but it's pretty obvious it's a hill. A fairy ring like this, you could walk into it without realizing you've walked through it and find yourself somewhere else.
All right. So I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to walk back to the party and I'm going to just ask them to take a moment. And we are near something that is not normal for this area. It's something I don't see in the forests ever. And I am genuinely concerned about moving forward at this point. I don't want to be here. I
You
would
can
like
get
to
around
go.
it. It's not a,
Yeah,
it's like a
but
15-foot radius. So, but yeah, this is unnerving.
So for those of us that are ignorant of what this might mean, what is the potential threat we might be facing?
it's. I don't know exactly. I just know that it's better off that we don't go near it at this point.
Move as quickly around it as possible to get to this village.
Yes.
Okay. About an hour after that, you break out of the forest on the other side, and you do see in the distance a farm. And down the slopes of these, it's not a large hill, but you kind of see in the distance there's a river and several farms sprawled out. So you've gotten to the area.
Does anyone approach us as we're walking in?
No, you're nowhere near the village yet. The village
Okay.
is probably a couple of miles from the forest fence.
We should see if they have some village elder, someone who maybe would know something about this area. Perhaps if they are living this close to the Fae, they are in more trouble than just some lost livestock.
I would agree with you on that. I do think that they are in a bit of trouble, and this might have a lot to do with it.
We also may want to reach out to any of the huntsmen or the gatherers in the town. Anyone who is more familiar with the woods.
Mm.
Yes, it occurs to me briefly, perhaps, tangentially even, that if this town this village, these hamlets here have been here for a long time, they may be aware of the placement of those things in the woods, and choose to be here to access them, I feel like we should be aware that there may be more going on here than perhaps we're led to believe. Did you hear that?
I agree. We definitely should speak to anyone who comes out of the village, hunters, gatherers, or elders that may have known about this prior to us meeting them. But once again, this is something I've never seen.
Perhaps we should leave that close to the vest, at least initially, and just find out from the villagers what they believe is happening.
Okay, you're approaching the closest farm. Ooh, we lost someone.
Niels hopefully is not having connectivity issues again. We can pause if you want to see if he jumps back in real quick. Yep, there he is.
Okay, great.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Okay, so you come up upon the first of the village's 7 farms. In the line of farms, you probably come in about 3 of this. You're not coming you're kind of cutting through the forest and you're coming in the middle of the sprawl. As they see travelers approaching, you see people out in the fields. They're making hay bale. They're making piles of hay. They're harvesting hay for their sheep, and it's a sprawling. That's a sprawling estate with a sprawling farm. You see they're herding sheep in out of the fields into a paddock. They wave to you, they greet you, and they say, "Are you coming to the main house? Are you the help that has been promised from Fidelis Afer?"
We were sent here to come investigate and see if we could assist. I would not say we were the help.
One of the older youths here says, "I'm Jordox, son of Petar. Petar's my father. Please come to the main house. We've been expecting you."
So I'm going to be behind Herminius and Marcion, just covering them from the rear.
Okay, you're taken to the main house, and older man comes out. He is actually, as he comes forward, he offers his hand. He's wearing a leather apron, and he's covered with down. Under the leather apron is. It looks kind of. It's basically he's covered with bits of wool.
Okay.
No.
And he offers his hand, and as you take it, his hand seems covered with soft oil. And he says, "Apologies, we're in the middle of shearing."
That would look normal to me.
Right. He says, "Welcome. You must be tired and hungry and thirsty. Can I offer you some refreshments?"
Yes. Any wine that you have would be nice.
Wine, no, but we have excellent cider here.
Cider it is, though.
So he orders a cask of cider brought up.
Did they seem at all disturbed or worried or nervous about what's going on around them?
They appear. Make an insight roll.
Oh, I think I made an insight roll.
They appear relieved that the experts are here to solve the problem.
Shit.
We're not
They're
experts.
like, "Cavalry's here. It's all going to work out now." You're like, oh shit. They don't mean us, do they?
What? I did not say help. I just said we're here to...
Okay. While
Is
they
there
bring
somewhere
out,
we can sit to perhaps discuss
of
the
course,
issues?
they bring up some hay barrels. They open up a keg of really strong, good cider. Like you realize this guy's showing. At this point, he's trying to show off.
Mm-hmm.
So this gives you guys drinking horns and cider. And he says that please, would you do me the honor of staying at my farm while you're, during your stay here? I will have my wife enlarge this, put on a larger stew pot, and we'll have a large dinner. He says, I've sent one of my boys to summon the other family heads so we can all speak to you at once. My farm specifically hasn't been targeted yet, but other farms have. So it's better if you hear the story firsthand from those who are experiencing these issues. At that point, some of his daughters and sister-in-laws and wives come over, and they've got pears, they've got apples, they've got like hearty dark bread cut into slices, and some cheeses.
Thank you for your kindness.
I'll take a couple of pears and apples and actually kind of, take one to eat and take a few and just like slide them casually into my bag for later.
Do I notice this?
Yes, he's a food hoarder.
I'm just giving a little bit of a dirty look. These are people I work with. Come on now.
Okay. After a few minutes, 7 other older men arrive with 1 or 2 younger men and or women in tow. These are the leaders of the 7 farms of this the village of Pentrefirmino, which actually means farming village in Welsh. Whenever I need an authentic sounding name, I just go to like Gaelic or Welsh, English to Gaelic or English to Welsh translations.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
It's a crappy way to do it, but I don't want to email my ancient language expert every time I need to name a village. So they say, so you've basically, when they all come up, they introduce themselves. I have a brief name generator here if we need to name NPCs. And they basically tell you, thank you so much for coming. We didn't want to go another night without having experts here. We're totally unequipped to handle this. Usually, a wolf or a lynx comes out of the forest, and we have guard dogs to drive them away. We have, a lot of us do hunt. So if there is, if there is something getting into the livestock, we usually deal with it. But the tracks we've seen nothing like them ever before, and some of the animals were taken very close to where people were watching over them. I mean, several of the sheep that went missing were they were being tended. And one of the shepherds says that I was out there all night. My dog didn't awaken me. The next morning, the sheep were scattered. When we got them all together, the count was off by a half dozen. I searched where I had bedded them down, and I did find traces of blood and odd tracks that I'd never seen before. But whatever this was, it got very close, and and one of the guys says that unfortunately, when some of our sheep were taken, our dog did go after it, and we didn't find the sheep, but we found the dog, and just no animal should die that way. Rent from, it looked like it had just been torn apart. Something large and savage, almost toying with the poor animal. As I raced after it, I could hear it, the cries and the whimpers. Whatever killed it took its time. But the dog had raced after it.
Yeah. Young man, can you describe the tracks that you had seen?
It's not a wolf. It's not even. It's larger than any wolf we've seen.
I ask if we have a wax tablet available. Is there a wax tablet
available?
Can we give this to you? Maybe be able to draw it.
Herminius will actually pull one out of his pack.
Macreon has a wax tablet, I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right. He's going to try and make the impression of it, and then you're going to try and interpret it. It's going to be a natural world check, but it's going to be with a penalty dice.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to give you much unless you make a hard or extreme success, even with the penalty dice.
Okay.
I mean, this guy's not a trained hunter like you are. He's a shepherd. Unlike you, he's actually is a shepherd, not a huntress pretending to be a shepherd. You're actually a qualified shepherdess, but that's not how you pay the bills.
Excuse me. I'm very sorry to say this, but not sorry, but I have sheep. I take care of my sheep. Don't talk about what I do on the side.
All right. So he makes the impressions, and I need you to roll your natural world with a penalty dice.
Okay. What will the penalty? Oh, never mind. Let's see if I make it first. No, I know nothing.
Both dice, both tens. All right. Yeah, either he's not drawing it well, or it's just something so odd, or maybe it's something that you've never encountered.
Okay.
It'd be better if you actually looked at an actual track.
Okay. Is it possible? Well, first of all, what time of day is it right now?
Right now, it is approaching dusk.
Okay, so getting a track would not really be feasible at this point. It's going to be.
He says that his farm is. Make a luck roll.
A 6.
He says, "My farm, where the sheep were taken, is not far from here. If we set a brisk pace, I should be able to get you to where it is, and we should be able to get back in time for dinner before the moon rises. We might want to take torches just in case. If you'd rather wait till morning, I understand."
I want to excuse us one moment. I gesture to the group to speak a little bit to the side, because I don't want to make that decision if we should immediately go out or not alone.
I mean, there's more information to be gleaned here. Is there a pattern? Have they attacked certain farms? Is there some sort of order? We could go and investigate the tracks.
Or you could split the party, and some of you go look at the tracks, and some of you talk to the villagers.
No, good. I like my party members. Thanks.
If we do that, clearly it's Herminius and Marcion go together, and then Doreena and Malachi go together. That's.
In the movie version, I think Herminius is going to be played by Rocket the Raccoon. You're only saying that because you're not going to where,
This is why I pulled everybody to the side and did not talk aloud amongst our great.
You rolled a 6. He can get you to it with enough fading daylight for you to examine the tracks. How long you take in getting back is part of the issue. But also, you don't know if it's going to rain overnight. You don't know if the tracks are even going to be. The longer you don't look at these tracks, the less chance they're actually going to be there.
So here's the thing. I know I saw tracks, and this I'm speaking to we have not returned back to our host just yet. I know what I saw while we were traveling to this village. I don't really know, or it's not something that I've seen before. It doesn't look like a type of track that would have sneakily come up on someone. So even if I were to take this time to leave, go, and come back, I might be getting the same thing, something that I'm not familiar with. Do we feel that it's the right thing to do for two of us to leave and take a look at the tracks while the rest of the party remains?
Do we feel safe enough with leaving some of the party with the villagers, the people that live here? Do we have a sense of that at all?
You can roll insight to kind of see if they're hiding anything or.
Well, how do they feel? Like, do they look really suspicious at us talking not in front of them?
They just kind of feel like you're experts and that some of you are exotic. Because you don't get many Syrians or Jews in Britannia. Actually, you do. Britannia is pretty diverse, but in a remote sheep village, farming area like this, you don't see a lot of Syrian detectives and Jewish bodyguards and Greek scholars. So they're just like, they're just a bunch of exotic foreigners. So they don't seem concerned that you guys are talking privately. You're the experts.
I got an 02 out of 60 for insight, so I have a good. Hopefully,
these people are afraid, but they're looking to you as saviors. There's no animosity. There's no hidden agenda. They're trying to be hospitable in the hopes you won't abandon them, and they don't want to look badly to someone who actually owns like a third of their. Your patron is in charge of like 1/3 of all of the exports from this village. Like the wool they export, he buys it.
I'm going to convey this. I mean, I feel like observing these people, I feel like they're on the up and up. I feel like they need us. I feel like we can trust them. It doesn't seem to be whatever the threat is. It doesn't seem to be to them. So maybe we could leave Marcion or Herminius behind. Maybe I'm going to say the former because he's more useless out in the woods probably than
where the tracks are is not in the woods. It's in one of their fields. It's in one of their it's in one of their pastures.
Well, yeah, I mean, I feel like if we, one or two of us stay and talk to the villagers a little bit more, and then the others of us go out.
Okay, so let's go with we're going to go with Malachi and Doreena and Vortigern, the shepherd. His wife Suli demands to go with him, and she's also a shepherdess, and she's got her big stick.
Oh, good.
And she's like, I'm not going to have you go off and leave me a widow.
No, sounds good.
And then she says that in Brythonic to him. Doreena, I think you do speak Brythonic.
Yes, I do.
And then he says, so you're going to come with me and get killed beside me? And she says, yeah, I don't want to raise our kids on our own. Why don't we not have any kids?
I don't understand it.
So he says, fine, come on. So he gives her the lantern in case they need it and leads you guys out. And you see it's a sheep paddock. There are tracks everywhere.
Mm.
But he said, where I saw the blood was over here. The dews washed most of it away. I'll leave it to you. I don't want to track over anything. My dog ran over it, so you may see some of those tracks. But trust me, when you see what I saw, you'll know what I know.
Okay, so there's sheep
So,
tracks.
Make a
dogs.
tracking roll with a penalty dice, unfortunately, because it's a couple of days old and there are lots of tracks mixed in here.
A 10.
That's really good.
Listen, I bought
Is
case.
that a critical? If you've got more than 50 in track, that's a critical success.
I have 70.
That's a
Wow.
critical success. Now you know why they looked at you guys like you were the experts.
I don't do math well. Sorry.
Okay.
Oh, you mean these tracks
Doreena,
right here? Oh, yeah.
You've traveled. We're going to say you haven't traveled outside of Britain. Because I think she's only 19 or something like that. So she's still...
You made me younger. Thanks. I'm 25, but
Oh,
I'll
but-
take 19. No, that's
we're
great.
gonna say you haven't traveled out of Britannia, but you've been to Londinum, you've been to, the major cities.
Werewolves
So
of
you've
London.
seen arenas and you've seen menageries and you've seen other animals that aren't native to Britannia. You've seen exotic animals in games. You find a large track that the closest thing that you think it could be is a tiger. Now, you've never seen the tracks of a tiger, but you know they exist, and you have actually seen one in a menagerie. It wasn't slaughtered in the arena, but it was brought out in kind of like a parade. Kind of like the parade of exotic animals.
Mhm.
And you're like, there are no big cats roaming around Britannia. So this is lion tiger size. And then since you rolled a 10, you really found an area of tracks where you think this animal stalked the sheep. And there's something odd about it, and it takes you a few minutes to really figure it out. And once you figure it out, you're not even sure you believe what you're seeing. It looks like it has 6 legs.
What? 6 legs?
So do you point it out?
I have to at this point because it doesn't make sense to me. Even with my understanding of the unnatural world, let's put it that way, it still doesn't make sense to me. So I am going to have some sort of reaction. I am going to look surprised. And a little confused.
Malachi, you see her going over the same bit of ground about 4 times.
Would an occult roll...
You're not there.
Oh, they left me back? Okay.
Nobody was taking you. You're back with Herminius talking to the villagers. We'll do your scene after.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So I see her, going back and forth over this. And I'm like, what's going on? And I'm assuming Doreena's telling me.
Gonna step aside again, and just these tracks are nothing from here. They resemble an animal that I saw when animals from different parts of the vast world have been shown. And I believe it to be one of those. But if my memory precedes me, this one has 6 legs, where the animal that I saw only had 4. So I want to be sure that this is what I am seeing, but it does not seem to be something of this world.
Does it seem fresh at all? How recent is this track?
Last night.
Last night.
All right, I pull my cloak a little bit tighter around me because now I'm a little chilled. But
At which point, the guy's wife, Ula, lights the lantern because the sun has set.
Oh, great.
She took a long time going over the tracks.
I am confident we can leave now.
Sounds good to me too.
Is
I
it
need
okay
both of you to
before
make
I...
a luck check.
Wait, before I do, though, I want to take a quick little sketch on a wax tablet. I asked Malachi if he has one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, and when you look at the placement of the tracks and the depth, because again, you rolled a 10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's probably about the size and weight of that large male tiger you saw in the parade.
What is that, like 500 plus pounds or something like that?
Let's find out.
Conjure up in Google.
Jesse, you were muted.
I was. This thing has 6 legs, so it could like probably almost double the size, the mass that it could carry.
That's true.
I think a male tiger is about 800 pounds. Without me Googling it.
They can be over
undercut you by
650 pounds.
So we're easily looking at something that could be 900, almost 1,000.
I think
you're thinking it's probably about the weight of a tiger. So but definitely in the 500, 600 pound range, which again is anything larger than a grizzly bear, and anything larger than a black bear is dangerous, and they're only about 180 pounds. Okay.
I clubbed a 300-pound man once. I don't want to club 600 pounds. Whatever it is. Why don't we head back to the...
All right, Doreena, Malachi, I need you both to roll luck. And it'll be fun if one of you fails.
Oh.
Fun for me, not for you. What?
I have a 31 out of 48.
Okay, you're fine. Malachi?
Yeah. 39 out of something much higher.
Okay, they do return. Meanwhile, the villagers put out stew. They light some fires.
Yeah.
The people who live farthest, they start leaving, but they're willing to answer any other questions you have. The basic is that 3 of the 7 farms have been hit. Each farm's lost about a half dozen sheep each time. 2 farms have lost dogs. Both dogs look like they were toyed with, almost tortured, after they went off again, following these things, whatever it was. No one has seen anything, and no one's seen when the sheep were taken. It's like they just were gone and they found these tracks. And in 2 of the 3 attacks, there were even people watching over the sheep. And they saw and heard nothing. So you have any other questions for them?
Yeah, actually, while Malachi and Doreena are off doing their thing, I was wondering if Herminius could kind of mingle with the people that are there, just to kind of get a sense of the atmosphere. He'll ask, he'll try to phrase his questioning almost as if he's just trying to get to know the town and not be too overt that he's actually prodding.
Okay, make a charm check. That's what you're trying to...
Sure.
That definitely sounds like what you're going for here.
That's 55 out of 55, dead even.
All right, well, that counts as a success.
Okay.
Your charming nature kind of disarms them a little bit. They seem less afraid, more willing to talk. Their major concern is that losing 6 sheep is a huge financial blow to people like this. They're afraid if the attacks continue, it'll really make it difficult to pay their taxes at the end of the year. And even for some of the families to have enough enough to eat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, if 6 sheep, you can kind of absorb that. But if a farm got hit twice and lost a dozen, that could be pretty serious. Because, man, these are sheep for wool. The loss of an animal is the loss of income for years to come.
Right.
So they're afraid financially, but
Mhm.
underlying that, some of them are starting to get afraid that there were people close to 2 of these attacks. You know, what if they had disturbed this animal when it was attacking the herd? What it would have done? They kind of don't think that the animal's a man-eater because they're pretty sure it would have attacked the people first instead of the... they're more used to dealing with things like wolves. So they're thinking of it in terms of a predator. But again, if you interrupted a pack of wolves attacking your sheep, you could be in for the fight of your life. So they're starting to get afraid if these attacks persist, a human may be taken. You've heard from a lot of a lot of the women that they're not letting any of their children out of their sight, and they're certainly not letting them anywhere near the woods.
Right. Are there any? Is there so? It seems as though with the loss that the community at large would be affected. But is there perhaps a single farm or household that might have something to gain, some ground to gain in the town itself? Say if a few of the farms kind of lost sheep and fell back, is there 1 or 2 houses that might be able to kind of gain priority over the others if this were to happen?
A couple of women, and again, this is only because you're in Britannia and women have more status that they're even talking to you. If it was anywhere else in the empire, they probably wouldn't speak openly. They'd have to have a male relative with them for it to be acceptable. But this is Britannia, and they're more used to outspoken women. One of them says the classic line, "Well, I'm not one to spread rumors." And what do you say?
Well, of course, there is no harm in simply sharing information, and there is no reason to also believe that this will ever spread beyond my ears.
Roll
I'm
a charm
quite good at keeping a
charm
secret.
or persuade, whichever's
Let's see.
better.
Well, my persuade is 15 points higher than my charm, so I think I'll
with
go
a
with
bonus dice because she kind of wants to tell you.
Oh, nice.
So it's with a bonus. Persuade
right.
with a bonus dice.
Oh, thankfully, because with the bonus, I got a 41 out of 70.
She tells you that while other farms are losing sheep and worrying about paying their taxes, one girl comes in to the village with a very heavy gold coin. So much so that her father is taking the coin to do shit. I hate these names. I can't pronounce them for shit. Durobrivae. Durobrivae. It's a nearby town on the other side of the river. To use the coin to trade for supplies for the winter. He's even said he's willing to share some of those supplies with the other families in town. But it was at least twice the size of a Roman assis, which is a 25 sesterce piece.
Wow. And what family might this young woman have come from?
And she points over to a family. Well, she said they left a few minutes ago. That was hold on, I actually named this guy. That would be Antor's daughter, Kundry. Kundry says that she found the coin at the edge of the farm, but no one's ever seen anything like it. I've lived here all my life, and nobody finds gold coins lying around.
Yeah.
Not like that.
And he'll kind of nod his head, but have a smile on his face, like cordial, as if they're just having a run of the mill conversation.
Make a luck check.
Sure. That is 75 out of 70.
Okay. All right. So she's not a lonely widow, but that's okay.
Oh no, yeah. No. He just wants to make it so he wants to put on the appearance that she's not giving him information that she shouldn't.
Okay. And I was just rolling to see how far this conversation was going to go.
And
I don't know if you want to burn 5 luck points for that, but it would seem a little frivolous. But who am I to judge?
No, he'll kind of like give a little laugh and then lean in just slightly and say, "I will ensure that we will come across this information on our own, and that nothing will come back to you." I promise.
She nods and takes another slug of her cider and says, I appreciate that, stranger. Okay, Marcion, was there any line of questioning you wanted to do before they get back?
So I assume he's like with like a different cluster of people. So
right, like he was with the single women mingling, trying to be charming. So he's like,
was there a pattern to how the farms were attacked? Was it, the ones lying on the outside and then moving, closer in? Has anyone seen anything strange in the woods?
It seems that the farms with the pastures closest to the forest fence are the ones being targeted.
Okay. Yeah, he's like rapid fire because he's like trying to figure stuff out now since they went. So like he's.
And they basically tell you things like, there wasn't a lot of blood. The animals didn't scream. It seems like they were killed quickly, which is strange because there are half dozen taken in each attack. That there were tracks. The tracks seemed to always lead back to the forest. The attacks only took place at night. So you find out, night attacks, pastures of sheep nearest to the forest fence, tracks leading to the forest fence. Both dogs that were killed were found in the forest. Their bodies,
Mm-hmm.
They followed the quarry back into the forest and were killed there. It started 3 nights ago. And in all of the history of the town, and there are elders in this town who've lived here 70, 80 years, who grew up here, that their grandfathers lived here. There's never been any stories or legends about some sort of a large predator. It's always been a wolf. In a particularly odd year, it was a bear. Every once in a while, an eagle will take a calf. Sometimes it's bandits, but they've never had, this is the first time a 6-legged tiger has, they don't say that, but this is the first time something like this has ever happened.
So he does say, he says, have the proper offerings been made? Perhaps the gods are angry if perhaps you did not make the right sacrifices.
Ooh, boy. Roll your charm,
Ooh.
not to offend the villagers.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
This is the Cthulhu Invictus version of blaming the victim.
49 out of what am I looking at? Persuade?
You try and roll your charm.
Charm. Nope, out of 30. Nope, at 49 over 30. Like he's just rapid fire,
He
so he's not
actually
even.
gets offended. He says, "No, sir." He goes, I don't know what you're accusing us of, but we make all of the proper offerings to the gods. This is our harvest. These are our animals. We give the proper respect to both the Roman and the native gods. I take offense that you would even suggest that we brought this on ourselves.
Oh, no, I didn't mean that. I am not, from here. From Rome itself. I'm unaware of the local customs. I just wanted to, just trying to process the information.
He says, then you need to look further than we brought this on ourselves. He says, "Good evening, sir," and he stomps off.
But before everyone scatters too much, I wanted to ask the villagers if they had seen people in the blue and green, like the person I saw in the woods.
Unfortunately, by the time you get back from looking at the tracks, most people they were trying to get home before dark.
Okay.
Macrion, you also learned that all of the farms that had pastures near the forest fence, they've pulled those sheeps in to paddocked areas closest to the farm. They're starting to shear them a little earlier this year just because they want to pull them away from the forest where the grazing pastures are.
Sure.
And they tell you that if this keeps up, it's going to be lean for them before spring breaks, because they're counting on another 2 or 3 weeks of grazing them before they have to bring them in and start feeding them on hay.
Okay.
So again, at this point, they're more worried economically, but they're still keeping their children close, and they all want to be inside before dark.
Sure.
Okay, so you're staying at Pitar's farm, and he says, well, he basically sets out dinner for all of you. Hearty mutton stew with root vegetables and some dark beer. And he says, I don't have much, but I can because the hay, the hay loft above the barn is warm and comfortable. And you see his house, he's got like one of those classic round native houses with the central, he's got like probably 15 or 16 people living in a big central chamber. So it's not like going into his house would be comfortable.
Right.
So,
Can I make a spot?
he suggests the hay loft, you be more comfortable. And they bring out woolen blankets and stuff.
Can I make a spot in the house to see if they do have the right altars and stuff out? Just to.
They do.
Okay.
They're prominently displayed.
Okay.
I think these guys would be Romanized enough that they'd actually have like the house spirits and the Laras. And as you look at them, you see 2 or 3 that you don't recognize without making an occult roll.
Oh, I will do that. or not. 92. He's like, I don't know. Fuck that is.
Okay. You get a look at 2 of them close enough that you could probably describe it, but you can't identify what gods they are making offerings to here.
Okay.
All right, so the group is back together. We're creeping up on 11. For me, how are we all doing? We can time-wise. How long did we want to go?
I'm okay for a little more. That's
okay. Okay. So they say, will you be patrolling this evening? Will you be getting a fresh start in the morning? We know you only just arrived, but these attacks have all taken place at night.
They've been tending the sheep at night.
They watch over them. Like they'll usually send one person out to where the farther pastures are with a dog to just make sure that a wolf or a bandit doesn't come. At least they were until this all of this started happening.
I'm curious, how many sheep are in the entire village?
7 farms, each one has about 150, 160. So there's lots of sheep here.
Okay, scratch the idea I just had. Okay.
But again, even having that many, losing a half dozen suddenly is still, they have taxes to pay. They have, they're not raising crops. They're buying food to get them through the winter. They raise wool.
Mm-hmm. So what I was going to say, what I thought would be a good idea, but there is an abundance of them, is possibly bringing as many possible indoors.
They've already done that. They've kept they don't have indoor spaces for a lot of the sheep.
Mm-hmm.
But they brought all of the sheep as close to the houses as they can.
Have they centralized them in one area now, or are they still scattered
They
off?
haven't gone that far. Everybody doesn't want they still have their sheep with their sheep. They are not mixing the flocks together, which would be quite a thing to untangle them.
As long as I'm not too far from the main party, I'd be willing to hang outside just to keep an eye out to see if anything happens. Though it sounds like I'm not going to see anything until it's too late. But
Our host's farm, where is it in relation to? You said we came out of the woods and he was kind
About
of there.
the middle of the string.
And the houses on either side of him, have they been hit or they have not been hit yet?
One neighboring house has been hit because Doreena rolled a 6 on her luck.
So I don't suggest that we risk our host's sheep, but if perhaps we left some sheep outside and sat out amongst them, we might be able to see something. You said the farm next over here was hit. It seems that what the villagers indicated was that the farms that were closer to the forest were the ones that were being attacked, at least for now.
So my concern is that if we were to approach any of the farmers with that, it would almost seem like we are setting them up. I don't know if they'd be willing to part with the potential of harm coming to them. I don't know if I'm reaching too much with that.
Doreena, this is the time of the year that the older sheep would be slaughtered anyway.
Okay.
The ones that are probably too old to survive a winter. So this is the time. So you might be able to, with a persuade or a fast talk or a charm, get them to part or sell you for very cheap a few sheep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course,
Yes,
these
I think
would be sheep they'd be slaughtering anyway. These are sheep that are at the end of their usefulness.
Yes, they often use as you know, the older sheep for meat. So perhaps if we offer to buy them from it, we can then use them as lures.
do we actually know if there's any pattern to what sheep have been taken, if they are younger or older sheep?
You didn't specifically ask.
Yeah. I feel like are we going to have a chance of seeing this happen at all if what the villagers are saying is true? It's worth a shot, I suppose. But
Well, if the villagers were sleeping and the dogs were on watch, then almost anyone could have slipped up and.
well, no, except that they said that some of them were actually being tended when they disappeared. So
Right in front of them.
yeah, pretty much about right in front of them.
If the attacks are happening at night, there were, for the past 3 nights, wait, have the math here. Hold on. So 2 of the 3 farms that were being tended to or attacked there were people there. It happened right in front of them. They would have detected something before it was too late. So I would say that they're being watched. That's not a matter of negligence and more of trickery, almost.
It's worth a shot. I mean, I'm very good at spotting things that are hidden, shall we say. It could be that they simply haven't been expecting to see something like that. Maybe we'll have an advantage.
My worry is that either one or a few of the families have tempted this beast into the farm for malevolent purposes, perhaps
would you say
to
that?
gain an upper hand within the village.
What leads you to that conclusion?
In talking to a few of the women, one of the families, a daughter, has come into town. She claims to have found a very large coin on the outskirts of the forest. Coming into possession of something like that just randomly does not seem all that likely. And as far as I know, their farm has yet to be touched by this beast.
What farm is that?
She is the daughter of Ador.
Where is that in the location? Is it further in or further towards the forest?
Did I happen to pick up that information? No.
Okay.
You didn't ask.
What's the goal here for any sort of nefarious thing? I mean, just some sheep that are disappearing.
Well, if these sheep disappear, perhaps they're feeding a spirit or a monster outside in the woods. Trading for gold could allow them to buy additional supplies, and spreading that wealth out within the town gains them favor, reputation, and power over the other families.
And power is a means unto itself, is it not? We've seen that often enough.
How well do I know these villagers? Would that be something that, or has that happened in my village?
You don't know these villagers at all.
Okay.
You've never been here. Could something like that happen? Sure. Is it likely? Who knows? I mean, as likely as a 6-legged tiger. I mean,
Okay.
anything is possible after what after your experiences.
Greed
You
is a
have
powerful
confirmed that there is something. There is something supernatural about the forest near here.
Okay. I just didn't want to jump down and say no, that's not part of sheep community. Sorry. We don't do that to each other. But hey, no.
Sheeple would never do that.
And what of the track? Did you find anything when you went off to the sheep paddock?
Yes, we did. And it seems to be a very large animal. Something that I have seen in show, not in nature. One of the concerns I have is that it has 6 legs.
6, you say?
Yes, I have never seen an animal with 6 legs, nor of that size. It seems to be large enough to be triple, quadruple times the size. Very large, larger than a horse, larger than an ox. But it's not something that would belong here.
Can I make an occult roll? See if that rings a bell on anything I may or may not have studied?
Nope.
Okay, that's fair. That is not something that I am familiar with at all. Nothing I've encountered in any of my readings.
It resemble it. The paws, the tracks resemble paws of a very large animal. Would I know exactly what a tiger is at this point?
A what?
A tiger.
Yes, you've seen one.
Okay, so I
You've
know
seen
that.
mosaics of them as well.
Okay, have you ever heard of a tiger? It's a very
Yes, of course.
the trackings resemble a tiger, which is not from here. There's never been something that large with that type of tracking, or that many paws for that matter, here. So
Have you
it's
ever heard of a tardigrade? Sorry.
I'm going to answer that for everyone in Cthulhu Invictus. No.
What the villagers had also indicated that they had no legends of a large predator such as this. Some of the elders, they've been here for 80 some odd years. Their parents, their grandparents have been here, and yet they have no indication that wolves and smaller cats, lynx perhaps, but nothing as large as that. And if it attacked 3 nights in a row, normally predators don't attack that often. I mean, how big that's a lot of sheep to eat.
Frankly, as much of a mystery is a six-legged creature that none of us have ever seen before, and one that strikes essentially invisibly. I'm not sure which is more perplexing.
I'm at a loss. I don't know if we should treat it as a large cat, but the additional legs has me question what I know.
And we passed both a fairy mound and a fairy ring. The ring being not that far from here. They're keeping their children out of the forest. They're not venturing into the forest themselves. But no one said that they saw anything out of the ordinary. But Herminius, if you believe that perhaps one family, or at least someone in the family, is gone out of their way to contact those things which should be left alone, that is definitely something that we should investigate further.
Indeed, and if they claim that they are keeping their children away from the woods, and yet the Ador's daughter has been known to travel around there and indeed found this immense gold coin in the area, then clearly there is a little conflict of truth within the town.
Perhaps the coin was left as a trap, something to draw in someone from the village to precipitate some sort of bargain, perhaps? Unwittingly?
That is my idea as well. Hopefully unwillingly. Hopefully there's no purposeful, nefarious goings-on within the village.
Dealings with the Fae are tricky at best.
Legendarily so.
Yes.
So regarding our next steps, I do agree we should be out or close by, but possibly taking turns, because we do need to get some rest tonight. possibly in shifts? Do you want to move forward with having sheep close by?
I think if we are looking to draw the monster in, then it is a good idea.
Where are we in reference to the forest?
Not
Because
far.
Not far. So strategically thinking, we know that the villages that are closest to the forest are the ones that are being attacked. There is a good chance, since it has not happened yet, that it may happen to this farm. Having the ability to purchase would probably be our best bet. Have them here, and like I said, shifts so that we can still resume tomorrow.
What if we ask PHR if he has some sheep that he would be willing to sell? We are due quite a sum that we can reimburse him. If we are going to do shifts, I would suggest we go in pairs. It would not be wise to leave one person alone, considering the circumstances.
Understood. Considering I have an excessive amount of money, I don't see mind putting it out right now for the sheep versus leaving it as something owed. As long as they're not very expensive, I can't imagine they would be.
Yeah.
Look, we could also write it off as a big business expense and just have Fidelis reimburse us when we get back.
Exactly.
I mean, we're between the four of us, we're walking around with 2,000 sesterces. So, I mean,
Doreena, just keep receipts, okay? That's all.
just submit everything to HR.
I think we absolutely should use some sheep as bait, so called. And again, I'm more than happy to take a good spell at the first stab at keeping watch outside. I
Okay.
just don't want to be too far.
At this point, most of the villages are in bed, and the village is kind of closed down. It's kind of a dusk till dawn society, especially in a rural area like this. So, trying to purchase sheep and work out where you're going to be stationed at this point is probably not going to work for tonight, just because everyone's already kind of settled in, assuming that you would be starting work in earnest tomorrow.
Okay.
And in all likelihood, you were up, and in all honesty, you were up before dawn to get online, to get to the gate to leave your quarantine. So at this point, you've been up and traveling, actively 18, 20 hours.
That's fine. I'm okay with that. But
I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, I could be convinced just to sleep. Like he's hardy and hale and physical, but like it has been a long day, and he's, they were left. Him and Herminius were left like in the village, so I'm assuming that at least
There may have been a lot of cider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was strong too. So
Yeah, it was basically like a 4-hour hike through the woods as well.
All right. I guess we're taking a nap.
All right, are you going to trust the security of the barn and the hayloft and just all of you sleep and wake at dawn? Or are you going to set watches?
Watches.
watch.
Okay, you get through the night. So how are we for time?
Got a little bit more, maybe 15 minutes or so, perhaps. Or
I mean,
All
if
right.
we're at a good stopping point, we could just stop here. We have about 2 hours. I get 2 episodes out of it. I mean, unless you have a little something that you want to add on.
I think the next obvious things for you guys to do is to try and purchase enough sheep to make a target, And I'm pretty sure Herminius wants to go talk to that girl who found the coin. So those are all going to be scenes that will possibly lead to other scenes. So I think that this is a good spot to end. Because again, jumping into anything else will probably, I won't be able to round it out in 15 minutes.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's cool. Gives us a
Understood.
couple of minutes to like post wrap the show.
And this way, I don't have to write an original scenario in the next 2 weeks. For you spoiled jerks. Actually, I'm showing off, and writing is a way for me to deal with stress. So to do short little convention rounds like this, usually I do 3 or 4 short little convention rounds every year to run at conventions. But if anyone's noticed, there hasn't been any conventions this year, so I'm kind of scratching that itch by doing this.
Yeah.
So I got to tell you,
I'm glad this was an off year for Necronomicon. Jesus.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Let's hope next year is not an off year for Necronomicon.
We're
Although I'm hearing the CDC was saying that they expect everyone to be inoculated by July of next year.
I think it's reasonable. I mean, one thing we're already planning is we're absolutely going to be, regardless of the status of that, we're going to be instituting some safety protocols anyway. Just simply, I think that's the new reality.
Right, and that's going to be going on for decades, probably.
Yep. I mean, honestly,
Right.
we're probably going to be giving everyone masks when they register and cutting things out more. Capping the numbers a little bit more.
I am looking forward to my Necronomicon 2021 mask.
Right? You could make that. You could make that a little bonus purchase with the tickets. You get like a custom.
I was
Cthulhu
this
mask.
close to doing Golden Goblin Press masks.
Yeah.
As a stretch goal.
Well, I'll give you all the first stab at it. If you want to give me ideas for what our masks should look like for 2021, I'd be more than happy to.
Jesse's an artist. Jesse could get you something.
Just do Cthulhu tentacles. Is that...
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the obvious one, which we probably will do something like that, But
oh boy! All right, so I don't know if I don't think I told anybody, but so this is actually based on a short story I wrote about 20 years ago.
Wow!
Oh, no way!
I needed a quick idea, and I'm like, hey, I have that thing that I wrote that I always planned to turn into an adventure, and I'm like, well, no time like yesterday.
Was it a mythos story, Oscar? Was it a mythos story, Oscar?
No, this was back in my medieval reenactment days when I was the head of a bardic guild.
Oh, right.
So it was a Celtic style story that I told live in costume.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's cool.
About a night where a creature from another world crossed into ours. So it was kind of a Halloween themed Celtic bardic tale that you guys are now living, because I'm a hack and I didn't want to come up with an original idea, and I had a short story in my back pocket that I thought would be a pretty decent Cthulhu Invictus adventure for Britain at Halloween time.
Which is awesome because Mabon started was yesterday. We're first day of fall. We're into that season, so like this is an awesome adventure to be a part of. Like at this time, I mean, it's 100 degrees here right now. Like we're looking at record heat over the next couple of days. But I feel that fall change coming, and I love the whole idea.
Here in New York, it started to warm up again, but we had about a week of like 70s, and there were a couple of days it was only like 66 degrees. So it's like hoodie, socks, jeans. Yeah. It's like
we got down to freezing the other night. A couple nights here in Providence, we were down to
no way.
Yep, 2 nights in a row.
Wow. Yeah, it's really feeling like autumn here.
Yeah. Yeah, we were for like the last week we've had a high of like mid 60s, and the nights have gone down to like the high 40s. Except for today, it jumped all the way back up to 78.
Yeah, it was beautiful today. It was gorgeous today, but it's funny just because 3 weeks ago would have been Necronomicon. for and
really?
wetting to death, and now it's just the complete opposite already. But
Right.
So crossing the forest, how quickly did you guys start to realize what was going on?
Well, I mean, I assumed Old Forest was probably kind of haunted, like just because of the nature of what it is that we're doing. The mound, I wasn't sure, but as soon as you said a couple of mushrooms in a circle, I knew it was a fairy ring.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I'm not subtle.
Yeah.
frankly, I'm still
That's
glad
that.
really out of my element. I don't recognize any of this stuff. It's about as alien.
Right. Don't worry. Eventually, I have one set in Antioch that I intend to send this group to, called Golem of Antioch,
Nice.
which I'm hoping Regina doesn't realize halfway through that she may have played it.
No, pretty solid that the memory of the past is not coming back anytime.
Okay. No, but I do intend. There's another scenario that I plan to run you guys through in Wales, and then you're going to be going back to. We're going to flip it, and you're going to be heading back east, to a scenario set in Syria, in Antioch, that Malachi and Herminius will be. As much as this is like Doreena's adventure, that will be their adventure, because it will be, that one is trying to track down who's summoning a golem in Antioch to attack. Basically, someone's using a golem as an instrument of assassination in Antioch, stirring up trouble between the Christians, the Jewish refugees, and the unfortunately many retired Roman soldiers who it's like the whole thing is just shades of the Third Jewish War.
We've got spoilers alert all over the place here. Come on.
I'm just getting a heads up.
That's all the information you'll get, like, starting the adventure.
Okay.
I have a feeling this is like, when you see like a Marvel trailer and you think they've given all the movie away, and it's actually just the first 3 minutes.
Yeah. And the first 5 minutes are over, and now we really.
Yeah, that's what you get in the letter hiring you to come to Syria.
Yeah. Well, Golem is in the title, so like you kind of have.
Yeah. It's not like the never-ending story. It actually does end. It's not a misleading title. There is a golem, and it does take place in Antioch. But again, that'll probably be, depending on how long we do this, that's going to be a couple of months from now.
Yeah.
Because I have one in Wales that. See, the problem is I can't run anything for you guys that is already scheduled to be released.
Right.
Because I don't want to spoil an entire scenario. I've got several great Britannia scenarios, but they're all scheduled to be part of Britannia and Beyond. So I was like, I can't run you guys through that because I'm going to be releasing it, and it'll be really a dick move that everyone will know the scenario before it even comes out for people to run it for their home games.
Come on, we won't tell anyone. Come on.
YouTube might. So because of that, you guys get the bonus that I'm almost forced to run nothing but original material for you guys.
If it helps, I'm not going to remember it after the game.
Yeah, but other people will. And even if you did remember it, I know you'd buy it again. All right, guys. Well, it is like 11:30 here, so I'm going to crash soon. When next we meet off, it will be morning of the second day in the village, and we'll pick it up from there.
Get a sheep count in the morning.
Awesome. Right.
To see how many die.
Yeah.
Also, the music references, by the way, just throwing that out there through this entire thing.
What?
Fantastic.
What music references?
Jesse was posting on the.
I wasn't even looking.
Werewolves of London.
Oh,
was one of the bigger ones. Literally, I was in.
That's almost expected.
Right.
And it's like one of you is a werewolf hunter. It's like I kind of didn't want to go there, which sucked because for October Nomicon, I just created a really cool lycanthrope variation that I wanted to use. You'll be seeing it in a few weeks when they post it, but I finally created the Call of Cthulhu version of Werebores.
Oh man.
Nice.
I've wanted to create like Werebores for Call of Cthulhu for a long time, and October Nomicon was just a great chance to do it. So I wanted to do a whole Werebore themed adventure, but then it's like Regina's playing the freaking werewolf hunter. It's like it's like I don't want to throw an underhand wiffle ball pitch to the group, you know.
Right.
She's literally designed to kill lycanthropes. So I came up with this, which is still in her wheelhouse. It's a hunt in the wilderness, but it's different enough that it's not like a softball pitch.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I'm stumped right now. I'm not sure exactly what it is. Like, I'm not steeped enough in the Cthulhu mythos and lore to be like, oh, I got it. You know,
that wouldn't help
just
you
play around.
unless you're a Celtic mythology nerd, which I am. You're not going to see what's coming.
Well, maybe I don't want to say that because when you gave me the title, I had an idea, but I'm not sure specifically like what it is, like what the creature is, but I think I know what the thing is.
That is so vague. That's like, it's the guy with the face in that movie with
so I'll
the
just
thing.
Say so it's the wild hunt then, yeah? I mean, like that
would be too obvious. So no, I'm gonna say no. It is not the wild hunt.
Okay, that was my first thought, and I was like, oh, all right, well, we'll see what happens, you know.
Right. All right, guys. So 2 weeks.
It'll be
looking forward to it, and
yep.
I think this is a good spot to stop. It's like you're in it. You're like in the village. You know what's going on. The next session, probably a lot of stuff will happen, and we may finish, we may not, depending. If it ends really quick, that's not good for you guys.
I have a feeling if the session ends really quickly, then the campaign has also ended really
then
quickly.
We're all then the next set of characters will start in Antioch. All right, guys. So I will see everyone in 2 weeks. I hope you had a good time.
Thank you.
Yep.
Awesome.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for running.
Bye.
No problem. See you guys.
Bye.
Cool. And I want to thank everybody for checking this out. We appreciate you watching. We have coffee for sale still. Neil is roasting a little bit. His assistant is probably doing the lion's share of that now. If you use the code LEGENDS10, you'll get 10% off your order. Shipping is always free. The Legendary Brew, there's a link in the show notes for that. The nice, easy drinking medium roast. The other blends that he produces are also fantastic as well. You can link out to that. It's birdsofafeathercoffeecompany.com, I believe. But if you go to our link and then link out from there, you can get the other stuff. Night Owl Blend is also fantastic. The code and the free shipping works on all the other stuff as well. We have our Patreon up. These games will be hitting there before they hit the actual podcast feed. So if you're so inclined, that would be awesome if you want to pitch a couple of ducats at us. If not, the world is fucked up right now, and if you need to save your cash, save your cash. We're going to record and play games anyway, so don't feel any obligation there. But if you do like the show, if you like what's going on, please leave reviews on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify. We're all over the place. That stuff helps us out immensely. And again, just thanks. Check out goldengoblinpress.com. Link in the show notes for that as well. You could also pre-order Britannia and Beyond now if you go to the... Oh, you can't. Oh, forget it. I never said that. All right. Well, it should be out soon-ish. After that's out, you can pick that up as well. If you're enjoying the adventures that we're having in the world of Cthulhu Invictus, you could have your own adventures as well. So we'll keep you posted on that as that comes out. And thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.